Something really strange has been happening across America lately. The whole idea of packing up a truck for a new job, a bigger house, or just a fresh start, it feels like it's grinding to a halt. It's like the entire country just hit the pause button. So today, we're going to dig in and figure out why.
And it all really boils down to this one number. This comes from a huge recent study by Harvard University's Joint Center for Housing Studies. This is the official household mobility rate for 2024. But what on earth does that percentage actually mean?
Well, it means this. For the first time since they started keeping track, fewer than 1 in 10 households in the U.S. actually packed their bags and moved. This isn't just some small dip. We're talking about the lowest rate of moving ever. A truly historic standstill.
Which, of course, brings us to the big mystery we're going to try to solve together. What in the world is powerful enough to jam the gears of American life like this? Let's follow the clues in the data and find out.
All right, so our investigation starts with the prime suspect, American homeowners. Right now, they are by a long shot the least likely people to be moving. And all the evidence points to this one phenomenon the researchers are calling the lock-in effect.
And what's really wild is just how fast this all happened, especially when you look at younger homeowners. I mean, check this out. Just a few years ago in 2021, you had almost 14% of homeowners under 45 making a move. Fast forward to today, and that number is absolutely cratered to under 10%. That is a massive drop in a super short amount of time. So what's the deal?
Okay, so this right here is the smoking gun. Think about it. Millions of Americans either bought a house or refinanced when mortgage rates were at rock bottom. We're talking 2, maybe 3%. Can you imagine? Now, if they want to move, they have to trade that incredible rate for a new one that's way, way higher. It's the perfect definition of golden handcuffs. The deal they have is just too good to walk away from.
And this whole lock-in thing isn't happening in a bubble. It's being supercharged by a bunch of other economic headaches. First, you've got mortgage rates averaging a painful 6.7%. Then, home prices are just sky high, about 5 times what a typical household makes. And to top it all off, the job market's in this weird limbo. Experts are calling it a low-hire, low-fire situation, which basically means companies aren't really hiring, but they aren't really firing either. So there's no big new job offer pulling you to a new city. It's really the perfect storm for just staying put.
Okay, so the homeowner situation. That makes a lot of sense, right? But what about renters? You'd think their story would be totally different, especially since we're seeing a flood of new apartments getting built. So more people should be moving, right? Well, this is where the story takes a really weird turn. And this lays out the puzzle perfectly. On one hand, you've got a record number of new apartments that finished construction in 2024, over 600,000 of them. Normally, you'd think, great, more options means more people will move. But at the exact same time, more renters than ever are choosing to just stay put and renew their leases. It doesn't quite add up, does it? So what's happening is you have these two massive forces basically canceling each other out. All those new apartments are like a magnet trying to pull people to move. But the high cost of everything and just general uncertainty is like an anchor holding them in place. And the result? It's a wash. Renter mobility didn't fall off a cliff like it did for homeowners, but it didn't budge upwards either. It just flatlined.
So let's just recap here. We've got homeowners trapped by their amazing mortgage rates and renters stuck in a holding pattern even with new options. Two totally different problems, but they're leading to the exact same outcome. Nobody's moving. So when you put it all together, what does this all mean for the future?
Well, the lead researcher from that Harvard study, Roard Frost, he puts it pretty bluntly. He says this isn't just some weird temporary thing. This might actually be the new normal. A less mobile America could be the standard from now on. The whole idea of picking up and moving every few years, well, that might be a thing of the past.
So is there a way out of this? What would it actually take to get people moving again? Well, the path back looks incredibly tough. Yeah, of course, lower mortgage rates would help a little bit, but even if they dropped, you still have millions of homeowners who are never going to give up those sweet 3% rates. And that's before we even start to talk about the giant problem of home prices being so incredibly high. But to really get a sense of how big this problem is, another Harvard study asked this fantastic question. They basically asked, okay, what would it take to get the monthly payment on an average house today back down to what it was in 2020? Before things got so crazy. The answer is just wow. To get that 2020 level of affordability, mortgage rates would need to be, well, this. Yeah, you're seeing that right. The study found that interest rates would have to drop to almost 0% to make today's medium-priced home as affordable as it was just back in 2020. That just shows you the massive chasm between then and now. It's a gap that's not going to be easy to cross.
And that leaves us with this huge final question. For generations, the American dream was tied to moving, for a new job, for a better house. Those were the big engines of mobility. But if those engines have stalled, it really makes you wonder, what's left? What, if anything, will make us pack up and move in this new era? Or is this just it? Have we become a nation that finally has decided to stay put?